Another thing people ask me about a lot is serving wine and storing wine. There's some common misconceptions. I think the French would say that we always serve white wines too cold in America and red wines too warm. Traditionally, white wines and red wines in France are served almost at cellar temperature. So they would maybe put a little chill on the whites and serve them around 48 or 50 degrees. And reds would come out of the cellar between 55 and 60 degrees. In the United States, what people do is they have white wines in the refrigerator at 34 degrees and red wines sitting on the counter at 75 degrees, or in the summer, it could be 80 or 85 degrees. So my first piece of advice is to take your white wines out of the refrigerator before dinner so they can come up to a temperature where you can smell them and taste them. When wines are really cold, you don't get much out of them. They're very shut down. So I will say this, if you have really bad wine, you want it cold. But if you have a nice wine, like my Russian River Chardonnay here that I'm drinking, you could drink that at room temperature if you want, and it'll show the best if you serve it at 45 or 50 degrees and then let it even warm up from there. The other thing I like to tell people is that with red wines, I think what people do once they open a bottle is they usually put the white wine back in the refrigerator and put the red wine on the counter. So let me talk a little bit about how wines age. Aging with wine is basically a gradual process of oxidation. So when you have wine in your cellar, it's aging very slowly. There's a little bit of transfer from the universe of oxygen into the bottle. Once you pop the cork on the wine, there's a very rapid transfer of oxygen into the bottle. But a wine that's built to age in your cellar will also age well once it's opened. So a wine with a lot of structure and a lot of acidity will last longer in your cellar. It'll also last long after it's open. But there are three things that matter in terms of how long a bottle lasts once you open it. The first thing is how much air is in the bottle and how much wine is left. So the ratio of oxygen to wine has a lot to do with how long it'll keep. The second thing is the inherent structure of the wine. So wines with a lot of tannin structure or a lot of acid, very low pH, tend to age better in your cellar and keep longer once they're open. The third thing is temperature. Oxidation is a chemical process, and like most chemical processes, it occurs more rapidly at a higher temperature. You should know my daughter's a chemistry major, Riley, and that's all she lets me say about chemistry. I have a very narrowly prescribed set of things I'm allowed to say about chemistry, but that one's approved. So if you take your red wines and your white wines and put them back in the refrigerator, they will last several days after being opened without being gassed or pumped or anything. So, by the way, that's why we keep cellars at 55 or 60 degrees, not at 75 degrees, because even in your cellar, when it's not open, the bottles age more gradually and more gracefully at a lower temperature. So that's it. It's all about oxidation at the end of the day. So you can keep that in mind next time you pop a bottle of red wine or two or three on one of my tastings. Put them back in the fridge in the last 4 or 5 days. Cheers.